All right, everyone. So the great retreat. People cannot afford to live. Debt levels are near 177%. Housing is becoming unreachable for so many Canadians. So, explain this. Why are cottage prices still rising? Before we look into the math, are you seeing people in your circle actually buying recreational property right now? Or are there just sitting for sale signs everywhere you look? Let me know in the comments right now if you want to see if the reality on the ground matches the actual headlines, what we're seeing. So we will look into the actual recreational property and the gap in the numbers, right? Like that is the problem, right? People are heading towards that direction, and Royal LePage is certain that cottage prices will gain by nearly 4% in 2026. Does this have to do with actual gas prices? We'll get into that as well. So, but for now, the gap in the numbers. Canadian has one of the highest household debts in the world. Let this sink in for a second. We are near 170 to 180% debt to income ratio. In many cities, housing is still 8 to 10 times the income. That is crazy. So sales activities are slowing down and listings are rising. So everything points to the market under pressure except this segment of real estate that people are claiming, especially Royal LePage, that it will drift up. So the outliner. Let's look at one of the area that is actually moving. Recreational homes prices to expect to rise, and the median price is around 580,000 in the cottage sector. So why are people struggling in the cities while cottages are going up? So is this the actual real demand? That is the question. What is pushing this particular uptick? But before I get into this particular segment, I would like to give a big shout out to the community that has supported our channel for so many years. So we will start with the bedrock. Before I start with the bedrock, I could not summarize all the accounts that are commenting, but here is a quick slide of the bedrock foundation of unlockers that have been with us for more than 1 year. I would like to thank you all. Now we get into the community. So these are the subscribers, the viewers that gave the biggest and the most amount of hearts in our actual channel. So these are the community leaders. So this actually was brought up by the YouTube algorithm, and these accounts were actually the top people with the hearts and the comments on the channel. I want to thank you all, and it has been interesting for so many years and months. Now, having said that, we move on to the current momentum, right? So these are the current momentum of the unlockers, the people that are actually new to the channel, that are commenting, they're being involved. And here's the slide. These are the unlocker vanguard. So some of these accounts are new, but they have been heavily involved. So having said that, in the future, we will have these shout outs from time to time. In YouTube, there is a button called hype. If you want to hype the video, that counts for like 10 or 100 likes. So you can definitely do that. Below the video, you will see the hype. Like, you can share, you can subscribe. And let's get back into the actual video. So is this the real demand? Now you might think people are suddenly flush with cash, but they are not. This isn't a demand search. So 52% of agents say demand is completely flat. 61% say homes are taking much longer to sell. Buyers are cautious, but prices are still holding. And we definitely see this in the market. Agents are definitely struggling and suffering because it is not as easy as it used to be. There's a lot of things you need to do in order to sell, especially a recreational property or a cottage. So what is the real reason why? So if the demand is not there, what is it then, right? So limited supplies and few developments happening in these regions, right? Like in the cottage regions, and we definitely see that. So properties held for generation. This is another segment that people are not realizing, but there are a lot of these cottages that have been in families for generations, and people are not selling them because back in the day you could have bought these properties for pennies pretty much, right? So people held on to those for so many times. But here is another question. This market is supported by scarcity, but there is a dilemma for owners. If you had a cottage that was up 4% while your city home was tanking, would you sell the cottage to save your primary home, or would you hold to the lake house as your only remaining asset? Type sell or hold below. I want to see where your head is at this point, but this is kind of what is happening, because speaking to some people, they said, hey, look, if I get rid of that cottage, I could maybe clear my debt in my city property, and that could help me down the line, or help me in the future, or help me with generational wealth with the kids and schooling and all of that stuff. So it is definitely something to think about. Also, many people are realizing that there's something called capital gains. And some of these properties have been purchased for, 10 grand, 50 grand, 30,000, 80,000, and they're now in the average of $580,000. So now capital gains is huge. So people are shifting and twisting and seeing what works best and all that stuff. So one of the reasons why some of these properties have been held for so many years and generations is definitely capital gains, I would personally say. So the real shift: if gas prices rise, if flights become more expensive, if global uncertainty continues, so people don't travel, people stay close to home. So I believe that this is also in a correlation with this actual situation that we are seeing, right? So gas prices go up, people tend obviously not to travel, but they have to do something, right? So the cheapest, the best outlet, right? Winter, summer, and even spring and fall is beautiful in Canada, Muskoka area, as you know. People tend to do that. And we have seen that prices, rental prices, have gone through the roof in some of these cottage country areas, right? Now, there has been other problems with Airbnbs, because some of these villages or pockets definitely said no to Airbnb, and these owners of these properties started to suffer because they could not keep up with the actual monthly cash flow, right? So that's basically what is going on. So I believe that Royal LePage in this case is trying to calculate this 4% gain. And what I'm trying to see is the past behavior, because during COVID, obviously we had different issues, but also one of those issues, we couldn't travel. So because we couldn't travel, so we tend to pick, the local destinations, right? So I think this is one of the reasons why the prediction is at 4%. So let me know what you think below. I want to thank you. Please like, share, subscribe, hype this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay sharp on lockers, and until next time.